Rainbow Six Siege, a tactical shooter where 5 attackers infiltrate a building attempting to defuse a bomb and 5 defenders attempt to stop them. It has many maps, some resembling real-life places, such as Oregon, Presidential Plane, Consulate, Bank, Yacht, Clubhouse, Border, and Hereford Base. But today, we're talking about KafeDostoyevsky, a map I found back during the 3rd year on Operation Grim Sky. Now, I won't go into the operation itself, but I was able to get a copy of the old season and go back in time. This place, where I first heard of Mr. Dostoevsky, but I had yet to learn who he was and of the actual real-life counterpart to the map. Comparing photos of the actual building and what was shown in-game, we can see some similarities, especially at the front entrance, though I can't confirm the kitchen and back parts of the map. I can say for certain that the front end parts of the building, going from the 1st floor to the 3rd floor, did have resemblances to the actual real-life place.
One thing I would like to mention is that recording inside of Cafe Pushkin itself in real life was not really allowed, though they did allow taking photos of the 1st and 3rd floor. They generally didn't want you to video record, so the footage that I got was rather crude, to say the least.
Fyodor Dostoevsky authored some of the most influential and psychologically probing novels in history. His works delve deep into the human psyche, exploring themes of morality, guilt, and existentialism. Mr. Dostoevsky had gotten the inspiration for writing in general back when he was a child, having read works from many novelists and playwrights. Still, the most notable were Alexander Pushkin and Nikolai Vasilievich Gogol. Now, before we discuss what happened to him in the Siberian prison that further pushed him into writing and religion, we have to discuss the Petrushevsky Circle, which Dostoevsky had been a part of. And though he didn't really believe in the more radical parts, he has certainly been against the serfdom which had plagued the Russian citizens at the time. There was a letter by Vissarion Belinsky to Nikolai Gogol which denounced Gogol's views. The letter, which had been banned for its socially, politically committed art, landed Dostoevsky in prison due to him having a copy of the letter. Now, in the prison, he was sent to be executed, and for us to discuss the execution, we have to take a look at one of his books, The Idiot, where he discusses many topics, but one that stands out is the one where he talks about mock execution. He makes a character who is facing a similar situation, and in the book, the character says that if he was given one more chance, he would turn every single minute into an age and there would be no time unaccounted for. Absolutely nothing wasted. Now, Dostoevsky's novels weren't just stories, they were mirrors reflecting the complex life in 19th century Russia. His characters grappled with moral dilemmas of their time, resonating with readers who had yearned for meaning and purpose. Now, during my time in Russia, we went across many cities and visited many relatives, and as I spoke to them and asked around, it seemed as though they all knew who Dostoevsky and Pushkin were, often talking about books written by the authors, though I don't recall which books specifically they mentioned as it was in Russian. They did show, at the very least, that they were well known. Before I even went to Russia, I had already pre-planned some locations that I would have liked to see. A sanatorium and some historical places in St. Petersburg, an arcade and theater back in my hometown, and lastly, the mega mall in Moscow and Cafe Pushkin itself. Now, though I may not have been able to go to every single place that I had on my list, I did see some things that further expanded my knowledge and viewpoints, specifically music. I noticed that there were a lot of people there that were more interested in older artists, those from the past that weren't talked about or as well known anymore, artists that had been passed down from their parents to the younger generations. Now, how does that pertain to our current topic? It just showed that music and arts in general had a really big impact on people from then to now. In 1965, a French singer by the name of Gilbert Bécaud gave a series of concerts in Moscow, and during the time there, he had a guide, which served as his translator as he didn't know the local language. Once he got back to France, though, he wrote a song dedicated to his guide. He sang about his tour around Moscow and the Red Square, though during the song, he also mentions that he'd rather be at a so-called Cafe Pushkin, which didn't exist at the time, looking out the window at the snow, drinking hot chocolate, and talking about something different, which is a song you're listening to as we speak. Today, Cafe Pushkin and KafeDostoyevsky keep the legacy of Pushkin and Dostoevsky and the French songwriter who inspired the Russians, Gilbert Bécaud, alive. It's a place where readers and enthusiasts can savor the flavors of his literature and ambience of his time. Though, if it hadn't been for me playing Rainbow Six way back in 2018, who knows if I would have ever even known about the three, let alone the cafe.